Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe because dang it. That was dumb. I'm going to start over. Hey, welcome back to the channel. We are on yet another episode of the Garbage Camaro, and thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. It probably looks exactly like the way you saw it the last time you saw it, except for maybe the trunk floor, which is right over there. But it is vastly different. Thanks to the purchase of some aftermarket 70 to 73 frame rail extensions, I have now recreated this, which is a hybrid of the newer 74 and up frame rails and the back of the rear. It was important because I wanted a mating surface on the trunk floor and it needed to meet up with the tail panel. It needed to have that. So I had some options. It's taken me about 2 good days of work between ciphering things out, measuring things out, disassembling, some trimming, cutting, pasting, welding to get us to this point. So here's what you missed. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And I've done a bunch of measuring and a bunch of studying, and I know that the suspension is interchangeable between the 70 and even into the 81 cars. It's the same leaf spring and it's the same, a lot of interchangeable parts. What's different is obviously the trunk floor and from the shackle bushing insert this way. Like we said, for the difference in the bumpers. So I bought a set of frame rail extension sections. And they sit right in here. The shape is a little bit different, but nothing attaches underneath here. Nothing attaches underneath here. So dimensionally, they're the same spacing to this bushing right here. So, as a matter of fact, I cut it off. What is different is the end of it. Check this out. This guy right here, that's how that fits. And I've cut half of that bushing sleeve out because my plan is to just attach this here. So what I'll need to do is whittle this metal down, use this bushing sleeve as my reference point, attach this to it, test fit it again with the trunk floor, make sure it's clocked properly this way, and that way all I have to do is install the 70 to 73 end on top of the bushing sleeve right here, and I don't even have to disturb the suspension pickup points, and I like that. This metal is really good. The other alternative is to section this and maybe take a piece of it, weld it in here. I'm not crazy about that. All the strength is from here back. So if all I'm doing is creating a bumper mount on the back side of the structural panel here, then I think that's the plan. So that's what I'm going with. And I'm just basically going to, I carefully whittled this out, carefully whittled it out to not distort anything. And I'm just going to trim this off and plug this back in and create my mating surface for my trunk floor and my back panel, the extension panel. There's a filler behind it, and then finally complete the look of the back end of the car. So that's my plan. I've got to get rid of these bushings temporarily and whittle this down, grind it off, and then just attach my new frame rail end. So that's what I'm going to do. I got to get rid of this. I'll just drop that shackle out of the way. Simple as that. Bam. I'll use that again This will go right back in there and affirm that my rails are still in the right place. All right, so my axle is set safely on jack stands and the jack. Shocks are cut loose, which allow the suspension to droop and get it clearly away from the end and my bushing boss here, sleeve, whatever you want to call it. So now I can trim that off. You can see quite literally what I'm going to do right there is put that on the end. So another visual thing is this, which translates better when you look at it like this. So I've got the trunk floor and the tail panel mocked up. And so this is driver's side. So the way this is going to work is it's going to fit there. That's the happy home. And with it fitting there, it also fits here against that back panel. And it'll go right in line where my frame rails are. Now that hole is from the 74 and up. It's a little bit wider, so I'm going to put some steel in there and make sure that I've got a good mating surface between the top of the frame rail and the bottom of the trunk floor. You can see, got the other side trimmed out as well, because gotta have two. And that goes right there. So now you know my diabolical plan and the result that it's going to get me. It's going to get me back just the end stubs of my corrected, I don't even know the words, 1970 to 73 floor onto the frame stubs of my 74 and up car. Cutting and whittling. Cutting. So I think that is all I'm going to grind off of there. It's fitting like I want it to fit. I've got plenty of circumference around here to weld, to get a nice fat bead on and get it good and attached. So what I'm going to do is lay my trunk floor in and fit this to the bottom of the trunk floor while I know that this is flush, and get it in the right place, and then put a couple of tacks on there, locate it, and then we can burn it in from the top, and that'll be good, except for I got that side to do. More. That'll wait for me. I've left the cross rail in place. I've just got it Tetz screwed into where it needs to be. I want that as a reference for my frame rails. Just about caught me in the boys of that one. I'm just going to put my alignment Tetz screws back in place, even though I've got a set of Clecos over at the other shop that I need over at this shop. So anyway, yeah. That's exactly where that belongs. So now I'm going to go underneath and locate my things. And this may not be graceful, but I think it'll get me there. All right, we're in a pretty happy place right here. Can you see that? All right, so the only discrepancy I've got is that it doesn't exactly meet, well, it's pretty good, but right there, it doesn't exactly meet the trunk floor. But look at that, I can move that down. So I'm gonna follow my gut and line up as best I can, right? I think right there. So I'm going to tack it. Look at that. That's nice. Now we're going to burn them in. I'm happy with that. Now I got my 70 frame rails. Got to have to take my frame rails for the 74 off. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. This is a battle. Now what we have is some spare parts here with some heavy gauge steel if I need them, and a perfectly continuous flat surface that's not only going to match my trunk floor and the holes that I've drilled, but also the tail panel and all that stuff, which is over here. So you can see this all mocked up. You did see this process, but I've since screwed in the, it's like a intermediate panel. The name for it is a cross rail, and it goes in behind the taillight panel with the cool round tail lights and intercepts this, and everything has to talk, and it's fine. It's just sheet metal. We had to do some modifications. That's hot rod, man. It's not a 70 car, but I'm going to make it look like one thanks to these parts here. So now what we're ready to do is I'm going to start the mock-up process. I'm going to lock this in with some screws and then start putting parts back on and seeing how everything talks. It's exciting. It's an exciting time for me because we get to visualize this as a 1970 car. So come on, let's get started. Either I'm getting stronger, this panel is getting lighter. Or I've had enough coffee to where it doesn't matter. So one of you eagle eyes has pointed something out, which I knew. It's this hole right here. This is, let's see, where's my screw hole? There, all right. When I locked this in, there was space between the frame rail and the sheet metal on top, and I don't want that. I want to make sure I have a nice flat mating surface so I'm not having to pour the glue gun in there. All of these holes right here, you know that's going to be a nice mating surface there. And this right here, it's not horrible. When I push down here, that's pretty flat. But right up through here, you can see the space there, space, space. I want it to have a natural seat without a whole bunch of stinking tension. So what I'm going to do is look at the other side, but the remedy for that is to take it off, bend the flange to where it matches and has a nice natural seat. And we're pretty good up in here, and down here it's terrible. Plus, I got to make some more holes here. So if you thought we were done mocking up, you were sadly mistaken, and so is I. Emphasis on the sadly, because I'm so ready to fire up the welder and burn this in, I can't tell you, but it's got to be right. If I'm going this far, it's got to be, I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm not going to cheese ball it up. All right, so this outside rail has got to be bent up a little bit, and this inside rail has got to be bent up a little bit. All right. Adjustable wrench. Works like a really nice pry tool. I'm just working it up just a little bit. about every 3/4 of an inch. That's just going to raise the elevation just a little bit more. Right there was where my alignment hole is. Now I'm out of, well, that's big and fat and thick right there. All right, try that. Now we'll go to this side. When it's single wall like this, even though it's a heavier gauge, it's extremely movable. All right, so we're going to try that, test fit it again. That helped a lot. It helped a lot. It's still weird right there, but I'm going to realign to my realignment holes. It's there. I'm good with that. That'll work. This is going to give me a basic idea where everything is, but I also see where I have to adjust right here. See, that's super tight. Space, space, super tight. It's a subtle little thing, but I'm going to move that down, and that's going to help everything else. And by the way, I've changed my mind from these hex head self-drilling screws back to the Phillips head self-drilling screws. These just work better for some reason right now. I don't know what past life experience I was thinking when I said I like them better, but I don't. Right here is where I need more of a pronounced corner. What I'm going to do, what am I going to do? That down right there is where I need that corner. All right. Here's my tracings for the frame rails. We're going to stay with the 3-finger spacing, which brings me right here. I like that because it's right on that flat landing zone. That's nice. There. Don't touch the thingy because it's angry and it'll hurt you. What about there? Go there. Go there. We're going to do another one there, another one there. There. That's close-ish. I'll move those out a little bit. Move those out a little bit. Has anybody counted how many times I've had this floor in and out of this car? There's a contest going. Count the floor movings, because it's been a lot. That gets me close. And I also have big ginormous panel clamps. that I'll be using along with the Tetz screws and all that stuff. Now it starts to get exciting. So these trunk drop-offs have been sitting in a box for weeks and weeks. And it's really fun to unbox them. Hey, something else fell out. It's a piece that I didn't know I needed, but apparently AMD thinks I do. But it's a mystery because I don't know what it is, I don't know where it goes. So anyway, you second-gen F-body gurus can fill me in on that. Obviously, that's where that guy goes. But we got to put the wheelhouse on first. So the outer wheelhouse, I need a little bit of tweaking by that rocker panel intersection. I'm not mad at that because it's a new rocker. But right here, these alignment holes, and somebody commented that said that they're referred to as tooling holes, I think. Anyway, that one lines up perfectly. We've got a pretty flat flange here. There was never a tooling hole right there, but down here, this guy lines up extremely well. And so in here, in this little happiness right here, so we can see I've got to join these areas here. So what I'm tracing here is going to allow me to locate some holes that I can then drill in from this side, and we'll weld that sucker in to the rocker, right? Yeah, see how this is all working out? And also, probably there and probably there. But this is where I want it. So it's pretty much locked in. So now with this in place and the screws holding it in, I'm going to make one more reference mark on the bottom, and then we're going to hang the quarter panel. Yeah. I was going to say mount the quarter panel. I don't know which one sounds worse. I'm going to hang something or I'm going to mount something. Weird. Okay. And a bit of a spoiler. I'm going to clamp this drop-off in place. Or am I? Because this is a mating surface for that, and that is a mating surface for that. And we just got to make that happen. Alrighty then. Look at that. All right, so some stars are lining up. The tool that I needed to do this was right there. There may have been times in the past where I said to myself, Kevin, why is it that you need 75 different varieties of vice grip, like the duckbill? What practical application do you have for duckbill vice grips? Answer, fast forward to current year, this. Closer. No cigar. All right, I got to straighten that out. All right, so I've had to hammer and dolly a little bit of this stuff here to make this intersection work. It's part of it, man. I've got to do a little bit more. I got to cut that little edge off. Maybe I can do it Kiwi style. With some man snips. I'm just going to bash on this a little bit. Didn't need much. Just had to ask it nicely to move. And that's pretty okay right there. All right. So I'm going to clamp. Can I see? Top tip, as Mike Brewer used to say. He used to watch that show all the time. Preload or preset the preload on your clamps. So for this, I've got 2 panels. I'll just set that gently on the floor. For this, I've got 2 panels to clamp together, so I'm going to leave just a tiniest bit of space in between there so that when I do clamp it, I've got some leverage on there. So try this number again. It was really loud. That's pretty okay there. It's pretty okay here. The important thing is that it's pretty okay right there. That lines up pretty stinking good. All right, so there we have more. And remember, mock up. This is a test fit, right? You know, I'm making fun, but we got to see where we're going to put stuff. And for me to hang the quarter panel without this stuff in place doesn't do me any good at all. So now the quarter panel, it's got to come up under here. So I'm going to give it a little bit of extra opportunity to do that. And although this isn't pretty, I want to make sure that panel can go up underneath. That's what I want. All right. All right. Cross your fingers. Clamp this right here so I can look and see what's going on. That'll hold it around here. There. There. See? Sometimes you just got to be holding your mouth right. Okay, all righty. If you remember, come over here and look. This panel goes over top of this one. So I'm pretty good with all of that business there. This right here, it can come up little bit more. That's better. Look at that now. Right here. That matches, matchy-matchy. This, I can press it into there, so it's not far away. But the important thing is, there's a swage line right up in there. You see that little gap? Get my finger out of there so the camera can focus on it. And it lays on top of that, right exactly there. This matches pretty dang good. This, not so much. I'm going to have to trim some of that away, and I might have to trim away up into here. Because as we know now, this particular bit of sheet metal love right here is a whole new piece. Matter of fact, look what I can do. Maybe. Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's a separate ledge, which is good because this is kind of chewed up, but it's a piece that goes from here to about right in about here, and it's interfering with my fit right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to trim any of this off, even though I could probably use a little bit of that trimmed off. What I'm going to do is focus on the rest of the panel. I know what to do there. Once I relieve the pressure there that's lifting this up, that's going to lay down, and all of this is going to look good. I'm not worried about that. I picked that up again. I can hammer that flat. What matters to me are things like this right here. It looks like it needs to come forward more. It's not lining up with the inner right here. And this guy right here, this is a flange that's got to sit on top of that rocker panel. So it's a process. I've got to figure out why. This probably just needs a little bit of love. Yeah, it just needs a little bit of love knocked up. I might be able to, I know I'm talking a mile a minute. It's because I'm stoked, man. I'm very excited. All that waiting, all that dreaming. It is manifesting into a really stinking cool car. All right, so got some trimming to do. I'm going to get after it, and then we'll sneak up on this thing again. Overall, I'm very happy with this fit. This is a first fit. I'm very happy with this. So I did some whittling on here. I took off this channel, and that's ready for the new one. And also, we'll let that quarter panel sit nice and flush on there. Another thing that I investigated is this right here. I was wanting to get that flange to come and sit underneath here. When they put this together at the factory, it was sandwiched up in between and squish welded. All three of the panels were, yeah, together. With this burned in here, there's no way that I'm going to be able to slide that up in there. But I do have about 1/4 of an inch all the way across there. So here's my diabolical plan. What I'm going to do is leave about 1/4 of an inch of this flange with a nice rolled edge that will now, doesn't have to go underneath. Now it's going to sit flush and give that factory appearance, and hopefully it'll fit and I'll line up and we can do more things. Round two. So that's much better up here. I'm liking the way that's fitting better. Ah, I see. Okay. Just got to get it underneath off that thing. Don't drop. Okay. There we go. There we go. That's what I was looking for. For now, I'll put the don't fall on the floor clamp right there. Check this. That still needs to go up. We're close. All right, you see that little tab? Actually, it's a spot weld that I haven't ground flush yet. I thought it addressed all of this stuff. You see how much that's holding that back? Almost a 1/4 inch, 3/16, something like that. And guess what? I need about 3/16 on the bottom in order for that to fit flush. Huh, imagine how that works. Two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Who knew that physics was in this 74 Camaro? So, I've got to take this off, or at least move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Move it. Oh, wait. Ah, I think I can get to it. Okay. Stay. All right. I know what I've got a tool. I've got a tool.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Another lesson in physics is the one we call gravity. Energy transfer. See? Who knew this was going to be like the Learning Channel? Look at that. Snug as a bug in a rug. Look at that. All of a sudden, kabam, blammo. It all talks now. Well, sort of. I still got to buy a little more room, but I know what's causing it. It's better. It's better. Still not perfect, but it's getting there. You thought I was kidding about the clamps, didn't you? Harbor Freight called and they said, "Stop it!" So I know I've got to do some fact-finding down here and discover some more fitment, but I'm going to clamp this in place just because. I'm really happy with this in around the wheelhouse. Somewhat okay with this in around here. Yeah, we still got a little bit of work to do back here. I don't want to hammer it flat yet because I've still got some work to do. Although this pinch weld right here is looking good. I'm pretty okay with that. It's looking pretty continuous. I'm still sticking out here about 1/4 inch or more. All right, so here's my plan. I'm gonna put some other parts on and put some other parts on, and then I'm gonna stand back and take a look at it and go, hey, high five, like that. Look at that, the panel gap's not even that bad. But look at it. Check this out, man. There it is. There it is. Round tail lights. I got my choice of spoilers. This is it. This quarter panel. Again, the gap's not perfect. We got some trimming to do. This is initial mock-up. This is the first time I've had these panels on. We haven't tweaked the intersections, but here it is. Here it is, it's the 70. It's the car that I've been having daydreams about for a long, long time. And now it's here. So I'm gonna take the win. I'm gonna say that our initial mock-up phase is really good. I'm very happy with the way the panels fit on first mock-up. We've got some trimming to do. I've got some tech screwing. I've got some removing and reinstalling panels. Probably, I'm just gonna guess at 40 to 60 hours before this is burned in and solid. And it's just what it takes. So, garbage Camaro, no longer garbage. Although I kind of do like the handle G28, but hey, that's just me. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. See you on the next video.